Exposed. The haunted secrets of the cursed Catskills that every officer dares not reveal. Ridgewood wasn't just a sleepy little town in the Catskills. It was a sinister jewel hiding grim secrets beneath its charming surface. Those who dared delve too deep often found themselves ensnared in darkness. Sarah felt that darkness creeping closer every night she took her delivery route, her heart pounding with each engine roar and every faint rustle in the trees. Every whisper of wind seemed to carry tales of dread, like a ghost beckoning her to join the chilling stories that the townsfolk hushed, eyes darting in every direction. "Keep the kids close," they'd say. Ridgewood hasn't been the same since. The ellipsis always hung in the air, heavy with unsaid horrors. Now, Sarah found herself at the mercy of haunting truths as she tried to provide for her two young children. With minimal options after losing her diner job, the night shift for a local food service felt like her last lifeline. But nothing prepared her for the eerie encounters that would make deliverance feel like a descent into madness. Each delivery carried an unsettling weight. As she traversed the twisting roads, the trees felt like giants leaning in closer, their branches clawing at the waning light of sunset. Soft whispers floated through the air, teasing her with secrets she didn't want to hear. Then came the sounds. Rustling behind her, snapping branches, figments or phantoms. Panic hid beneath her bravado as she white-knuckled the steering wheel, her breath hitching when shadows flitted just beyond the reach of her headlights. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just last week, her daughter came back from school with wide eyes and shivering excitement, claiming she'd seen the ghost of a missing girl from years past. "She was in the playground, Mom. She wanted me to come play." Sarah's blood ran cold. The townsfolk's warnings throbbed in her mind like a pulsating clock, ticking down to a danger lurking just beyond her awareness. Late one night, she parked to deliver a forgotten meal, the chill in the air thick enough to taste. Her headlights caught a figure at the edge of the trees. For a heartbeat, she froze in terror. Was it a trick of the light? Or was it the girl, ethereal and beckoning? Shadows twisted, seeming to curl around her tires as she backed her car away, a queasy ache building in her gut. It felt as if the woods were alive, closing in, waiting for her to take the next wrong step. As the deliveries piled up, so did the dread. The veil of unease clung to her like damp fog, becoming a suffocating shroud. What lay hidden in those woods? Was she followed? Her inner instincts screamed while the quiet town seemed to breathe, sinister in its calmness. Each whispered tale of sleepwalking children, shady deals made behind closed doors shrouded the town's respected figures. The world of Ridgewood, once familiar, now felt like a mystery box poised to unleash horrors unknown. She had to find the truth. Her family's safety was at risk, and time was running out. But as Sarah leaned into the shadows of Ridgewood, the dark secrets of the town began to unfurl in front of her, foreboding and unmistakable. Would she emerge victorious, or would she vanish like so many before her, swallowed whole by the malevolent grasp of her beloved home? The next night, Sarah's resolve wavered as she sat in her car, the headlights cutting through the ink-black forest. Shadows danced like ghosts around her, and her heart pounded like a warning drum. A low fog crept in, curling around the trees like fingers reaching for her. With every breath, she tasted the fear that filled the air, thick and smothering. Tonight, she would take a different route, one that skirted the outskirts of the town and led closer to the playground that haunted her thoughts. What happened to those who disappeared? What if the tales of restless spirits were more than just stories to scare children? She had to know. As she drove, the landscape twisted past her in a blur of stark trees and shivering shadows. An overwhelming sensation of being watched enveloped her. She pulled over, just outside the playground's rusty gates. The old swing set creaked emptily, abandoned yet ominous. Breathing heavily, Sarah stepped out into the cold night, the chill biting at her skin, urging her to retreat. But then, she saw a flicker of movement in the playground, a small figure darting between the slides. She squinted, hoping to catch a glimpse, her heart thudding louder than the cricket's song. "Is anyone there?" she called, her voice shaking. Silence hung heavy in the air. The only response a gust of wind thrashed through the playground, making the swings sway. She stepped closer. There, beneath the silver glow of the moon, stood a girl. She was small with long, tangled hair, wearing a faded dress that seemed to blend into the shadows. The chill deepened. Every maternal instinct flared in her, warning her to run, but curiosity rooted her to the spot. "Mom said you wanted to play," the girl said, her voice a whisper, yet it echoed in Sarah's mind, striking a chord of dread and disbelief. "She said I should find you," the girl continued, pointing into the woods behind her. "Come. There's something you need to see." "What do you mean? Who are you?" Sarah managed, her throat tight. "I'm Sarah," the girl replied, tilting her head, as if studying her. Her eyes glistening, a reflection of a long-lost innocence that sent Sarah's mind reeling. Her heart raced in recognition. The missing girl. Before Sarah could respond, the wind rose up, howling like a wounded animal. The girl turned abruptly, her small figure darting towards the trees, beckoning Sarah to follow. Panic seized her. Something violent and ancient rumbled in the air. She took a step forward, hesitating. What would she find in the depths of those shadows? Could it be the truth she sought? Or a bottomless pit of despair, swallowing her whole? "Wait," she shouted. Yet the girl disappeared into the dark embrace of the woods. The silence that followed was deafening, a betrayal of the chaos brewing inside Sarah's chest. Fear gripped her, powerful and familiar. Was she brave enough to uncover the secrets that stained Ridgewood? Was her family's safety worth putting herself in such peril? The rustling began again, punctuated by quiet, persistent whispers that seemed to swell and recede like the tide. They rippled through the trees, crawling toward her, whispering tales of dread, summoning her closer to the mystery that lay buried beneath the night. As the air thickened with dread, Sarah took a deep breath, heart racing. She glanced toward the woods, teetering on a precipice of decision. Would she step into the shadows and confront the haunting truth, or turn back into the safety of ignorance? She moved forward, guided by whispers and the ghost of a girl who claimed to be lost. But what she didn't know as she stepped beyond the playground fence was that some doors once opened could never be closed again. What awaited her in the darkened woods? Would the truth set her free, or would it lead her deeper into the cursed heart of Ridgewood? The ground swallowed her footsteps as she ventured deeper into the woods, the cold earth damp underfoot. The shadows closed in around her, each silhouette of twisted branches crafting menacing shapes that felt alive. The whispers intensified, a cacophony of lost dreams and faded hopes curling around her, tugging at her very essence. Sarah, the girl's voice echoed in the night, chilling and sweet like a taunt. It was a name, but also a plea, a connection. Hadn't she sought to understand? To bring closure to a restless spirit? But with each step she took, doubt wrapped tighter around her heart like a vice. "Where are you?" she called, her voice a fragile thread in the thick darkness. The air turned heavy, pregnant with anticipation. Just ahead, the trees parted slightly, revealing a flicker of light. Golden and warm, it beckoned her. "This way," the girl urged, her tone flashing with urgency now, pulling forth latent memories of innocence lost. Sarah hesitated, a primal instinct warning her against approaching that light. Yet hope flickered within her. History had steeped these woods in tragedy. Ridgewood was synonymous with whispered fears and ghostly tales. The missing children, the tales of the playgrounds that never echoed with laughter, it all swirled in her mind. A tornado of confusion and terror, she forged ahead. The light dimmed, replaced by the hollow darkness enveloping her. The air felt electric, crackling with something she couldn't quite identify. Was it anticipation or dread? Then she stumbled upon a clearing. The moon hung low, illuminating a crude circle of stones surrounding an ancient tree, its gnarled roots twisting towards the earth like desperate fingers. And there, in the center, lay 8 small, stark white stones, the makings of a forgotten shrine. Engraved in each was a single name. Names that haunted Ridgewood, forever etched in time. Sarah's blood ran cold. Each stone was a grave marker. The children would never return, but here they were. All the names danced on the edge of her tongue, local legends turned into flesh and blood before her. Sarah. The little girl cried again, more insistent now. She stood just beyond the clearing, her hair shimmering in the moonlight, a specter waiting for her. But as Sarah took a step closer, something shifted. The ground trembled, and shadows slithered from the trees. The wind's howling morphed into anguished cries, drowning out the girl's sweet voice. Suddenly, the whispers no longer felt inviting. They seeped with pain, eagerness to consume Sarah, to drag her down into the abyss with them. A rush of fear flooded through her. This was a trap. Something sinister lay beneath the surface, deeper than hollow graves and lost souls. She turned, desperate to flee, but the forest seemed to close in, branches clawing at her arms, roots snaring her feet. Stay with us, the voices sang, all around her now frantic, pleading, an overwhelming throng demanding her presence. She tore herself free, racing towards the escape she could barely discern. Heart pounding in a wild rhythm, she fought through the suffocating darkness, desperate for the sanctuary of the playground, desperate for safety, desperate for survival. But as she burst through the trees, breathless and trembling, the playground loomed ahead, now shrouded in darkness, the swings moving in ghostly rhythms, and the crumpled dirt beneath her feet felt strangely alive. And there, standing at the edge, was the girl again, smiling yet foreboding, her eyes gleaming with something unnerving. Now you're part of us, Sarah, she whispered, her voice dripping with darkness as shadows gathered behind her, figures emerging from the night, hungry with despair. What had she unleashed? The truth she'd sought clawed at her like a beast set free. In her quest to uncover hidden secrets, had she awakened something worse than death itself? As the playground filled with murmurs and shadows, Sarah knew she had to fight. But the question remained, could she escape the yearning pull of the cursed heart of Ridgewood? The ground vibrated beneath Sarah's feet as dread coursed through her veins. Every heartbeat felt like a countdown, an alarm warning her that she was outmatched. The girl, her hollow smile accentuated by the flickering moonlight, seemed to draw the shadows closer, making the playground feel like a trap. Don't be scared, the girl cooed, her voice dripping with false sweetness. They're just waiting for you to join them. How many were there? Sarah couldn't tell, only that the shadows were shifting, whispering secrets that scraped against her sanity. Each whisper pulled at her mind, memories of laughter and innocence tangled with cries for help. She staggered back, her breath hitching in her throat. I can't stay. Panic surged like a wildfire, propelling her away from the ghostly figures that lurked just beyond the playground's dim light. She took off, feet pounding the earth, branches clawing at her clothes as if the forest sought to reclaim her. But the laughter followed her. Echoing through the trees, a chorus of lost joy turned sinister. With every step, Sarah felt the cold breath of unseen eyes watching, waiting. Just when she thought she had gained distance, the shadows flickered, and her resolve faltered, stumbling. She caught a glimpse of the shrine again, stark and unmistakable, like a beacon of despair in the dark. The names etched in stone felt alive, pulsing with a gruesome energy. She remembered them all. The missing children, the stories fed by fear and community grief, the victims of this cursed land, seeking justice, or perhaps vengeance. No, Sarah gasped, forcing the thoughts back. She couldn't be part of their fate. She refused to become another lost name whispered in the woods. Yet the forest deepened, the trees closing in around her, alive, each root and branch writhing as if it were an extension of something far more sinister. She heard the voices mingling with the wind, laced with desperation and malice. Help us, stay with us. Desperation clawed at her heart. She needed to escape. The playground shifted as she ran, morphing into a labyrinth of swings and slides glowing in flickering light. Realizing she was running in circles, her thoughts began to spiral. The relief of the familiar playground turned into a prison of childhood memories warped grotesquely, the laughter now turning harrowing scrambling. She spotted a gap between the trees just beyond the slide. There was a glimmer of what seemed like freedom. Her instincts screamed to move, and she sprinted towards the sliver of hope, branches nicking her arms as she slipped past. But as she rounded the last tree, a taller figure emerged, blocking her path. It was another child, pale and gaunt, his eyes sunken like dark wells. "You can't leave," he rasped, voice cracking like dry leaves. "We need you." Fear gripped her as she felt the shadows pressing in again, fingers reaching out, slick and cold, wrapping around her legs. The playground swirled with history and anguish, the air thick with emotions too heavy to bear. She clawed back, trying to break free. "No! Let me go!" And just then, the girl reappeared, standing on the swing with an impossible grace. "Don't you see? You're already part of us, Sarah," she sang, her voice echoing off the trees and into the void of the night as the shadows closed in. Sarah realized she had to confront this web of despair, or become an echo in the woods herself. Breathless, she felt the weight of every childish sorrow pull at her soul. What if the only way to escape was to face them? Dread twisted in her gut as she stood her ground, pulse racing. "What do you want from me?" The words hung thick in the air, heavy with despair. The reply came soft and chilling, a whisper drifting from the trees. "To remember." A flash of realization struck her. Intertwined with the weight of her past, could merely acknowledging them be the key to her survival? Or would it seal her fate as one of the lost? Sarah's heart pounded in her chest as she braced herself, both terrified and intrigued by the shadow's command. To remember the words echoed in her mind, binding her in a way she couldn't yet understand. In that moment, the depths of her fear clashed violently with an insatiable urge to uncover the truth that lay within the darkness. "Remember what?" she shouted, voice trembling, anchored in defiance against the encroaching dread. The shadows around her wavered, their shapes shifting as if confused by her challenge. For a breathless second, silence hung between them, thick and suffocating. The girl on the swing smiled wider, her eyes glinting like sharpened knives. "Remember the joy," she said, her voice now hauntingly melodic, "and all the fun you had playing here. But can you see? It was taken from us, snatched away before we could understand." A chill wound its way through Sarah's spine. Twisted memories flooded her mind, whispers of the laughter that had once colored her childhood. A memory surfaced unbidden, a lost summer spent swinging higher and higher, windswept and carefree. She felt a sharp pang of loss, a longing for days that had vanished into the ether. "No," she cried out, battling the memory. "Those days are gone. You can't take me with you." But just as she declared her resolve, the ground trembled again, a sudden surge that ripped her focus from her thoughts. The shadows morphed into a collective mass, darting forward in a way that made her breath hitch. They weren't just waiting, they were losing patience. "We just want you to stay," the boy whispered, his pale hands reaching out, translucent and desperate. "You'll never truly leave this place. We live here now." Sarah's resolve began to crumble. The intensity of their collective grief tugged insistently at her heart. "What happened to you?" she gasped, overwhelmed. "They took us," the girl sang, gliding down from the swing, her feet barely touching the earth. "The world moved on, but we remain, chained to this playground of memories." The trees rustled, their limbs contorting, as if the forest itself was lamenting along with them. "We all had names, but names mean nothing now," the swirling shadows moaned, echoing a chorus of anger and sorrow. "That's not true," Sarah shouted back, heart racing. "You were once real. You had lives, families." She was desperate to grasp onto her own humanity in this nightmare. The connection sparked, flaring brightly with renewed anger and desperation. "Then help us remember," the children cried, their eyes widening, reflecting a flicker of hope, or was it madness? The shadows shifted dangerously closer, burrowing into her consciousness. Vivid visions flashed before her, moments of joy turned into despair, the last breaths of the lost swallowed by time. Each picture accompanied by a chilling sense of betrayal from a world that had forgotten them. Remember, 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 the chorus thrummed in harmonic desperation. The hollow echoes filled her ears, clawing at her sanity. She glimpsed a path, lustrous and bright, weaving through the darkness towards the shrine, yet it felt like stepping deeper into the void. If remembering would bind her to these souls, what would happen if she let them in? Would it extinguish her chance of escape? Terror gripped her again as the shadows surged forward, fueled by her hesitation, wrapping tight around her wrists, pulling her into their cold embrace. Sarah. The voice of the girl now held an edge, sharp and insistent. Join us, and you shall be set free. Stay, and you will know the truth. The weight of their longing pressed against her mind like a vice, and Sarah realized she had a decision to make. But the answer slipped further away, engulfed by the darkness. As the shadows tightened their grip, she could feel her spirit being tugged in two directions, one toward the past, filled with loss and forgotten laughter, the other beckoning her to fight for her escape. Will you confront the truth or flee from it? A voice whispered from the depths. Desperation washed over her like a wave, leaving her breathless. In that moment of uncertainty, she took a deep breath, ready to step forward, or was it backward? And then a third figure appeared from the shadows, cloaked in night. Sarah, called, voice both familiar and foreign. I know the way, but it comes with a price. A chill ran through her as she turned, realizing this was someone she recognized but couldn't name. What did they want? Why now? What cost would she pay to uncover the truth? And what would it mean for her future? The ground trembled beneath her, vibrating with restless energy. The shadows stirred, eager for her choice. The choice loomed before her. But could she confront the horrific nightmares that had claimed so many innocent lives? Or would she be just another name whispered in the dark? The figure stepped closer, and Sarah felt drawn to it, despite an imminent dread curling in her stomach. Who was this specter? Part of her felt a shred of hope beneath the fear. Was this someone who could help her escape the clutches of shadow? But as she contemplated the prospect, uncertainty twisted her gut tighter. Do you really want to know? It asked, the voice echoing like a whisper from her deepest fears. The truth has a way of unraveling things that should remain bound. I'm tired of being afraid. Sarah shouted back, clenching her fists. The shadows constricted around her wrists, rattling in displeasure. I want to know what happened. The figure paused, a glimmer of recognition flaring across its shadowy features. Very well, it said, the tone now more earnest, almost compassionate. But heed my warning. The truth isn't just knowledge. It is fire, and it will burn you. With that, it extended a hand, casting an ethereal light amidst swirling darkness. Sarah hesitated, heart racing violently as she considered the potential for revelation alongside the threat of peril. As she reached out, the shadows shrieked, pulling back harshly, as if awakening from a disturbed slumber. Join us, the children cried, their voices drifting like an eerie lullaby. It's safer here, no. Panic seized her, a fierce flicker of rebellion igniting within her. I refuse to be a prisoner. The figure sighed, acknowledging her resolve. Then be quick. You must decide, trust me to unveil the horrors hidden within it. Gestured to the path of light that pulsed through the darkness. Sarah felt an overwhelming need to understand. Was the truth worth the risk? The shadows, still coiling around her like living vines, urged her to reconsider. Let it go, Sarah, they lamented. Return to blissful ignorance. Enough, she shouted, gnashing her teeth. I won't let you keep me here. With every ounce of determination, she released the figure's hand tightly. It shimmered and morphed, illuminating the nearby trees with a haunting but vivid glow. Follow, the figure beckoned, leading her into a clearing obscured by mist. Her feet took hesitant steps forward, the ground beneath soft but laden with sorrow. She spotted remnants, old toys enshrined in the dirt, rusting swings, evidence of lives once filled with laughter, now claimed by the foggy grasp of time. Each step dug deeper into her psyche, agony mounting like nails in her chest. What was this playground she wandered into? The memories clung to her skin, an electric hum sparking against her nerves with every haunting face that flickered before her eyes. She was surrounded by their silent screams, their histories unspooling in her mind like forgotten stories begging to be told. Do you see? The figure pushed, fusing anguish with urgency. Understand the danger. Only by witnessing can you save them. Her breath came quicker, and the shadows lunged, visions of moments lost spilling into brutal clarity, joy turning to fear, playfulness to despair. Sarah felt a wretched knot form in her stomach as she recognized their plight. But would she succumb to their desperation? Feel their pain? The chorus of children surged, voices crashing together like waves. You are one of us. The brightness of the figure grew stronger, warmth battling the urge to retreat. Sarah trembled, fear gripping her heart like a vice. I cannot stay, she murmured, the weight of sorrow heavy in her voice. Not like this, then help us, the figure urged with a strident echo. Help us break free. Your choice will determine if we follow you back or remain forever bound. Time seemed to freeze, the shadows quaking as the truth enveloped her, swirling wildly around Sarah. The choice hung like a pendulum, and she could sense the gathering storm of memories, despair, and the lingering promise of salvation. Tremors shook her hands. She was standing on a fulcrum, ready to tip one way or the other. Could she unlock their chains without losing herself in the darkness? As the shadows converged, their cries intertwined, and the figurous eyes locked onto hers. A burning desire for escape surged within Sarah, mingling with dread. Remember to forget means to abandon, and the shadows shrieked, join us or perish. The choice lay bare before her, a riddle twisting in the murky depths she was perilously close to diving into. Would she shatter her reality to free the lost souls, or flee into a world that had long turned its back? The breath of the forgotten was on her neck. Run or remember, the air whispered, heavy with the weight of looming decisions. What would she choose? And what would the consequences unravel if she took the step into the unknown? Tension coiled tighter around Sarah as she stood at the edge of that choking darkness, the whispers rising to a deafening crescendo. Join us or perish, they repeated, their fervor transforming the terrain around her into a twisted nightmare. The weight of time felt immense as her heart thundered in her ears. The children's voices sliced through the air, their haunting entreaties seeping into her very being. It felt like she was drowning in their despair, the shadows surging, wanting to drag her deeper. What if she joined them? What would be left of her? Make your choice, urged the figure, its ethereal glow pulsating like a heartbeat. You can't delay. In that moment, Sarah's mind fractured between fear and resolve. She took a step back, feet sinking into the damp earth. The playground remnants of joy was now suffocated under a crushing veil of sorrow. A swing creaked somewhere, heavy with ghostly echoes of laughter that now morphed into sobs. Choose. The figure pressed again, desperation threading through its tone. Sarah's instinct screamed to run, yet the pull of the shadows was powerful, wrapping around her, eroding her will. I want to help, she shouted, feeling fire blaze in her gut. But not at the cost of losing myself. The figure's eyes dazzled, a glint of pride flickering in the murky depths. Then remember, only by accepting your fear can you wield its power, right? She breathed out, though her heart quaked even harder. The bitterness of memories began to flood her mind, images of the children's faceless forms appearing in flashes, too quick to grasp, too horrific to dissect. This was no mere game. This was life and death, their life, her death. Help us. You know us, they cried, voices overlapping in an anguished overture. Still desperation clawed inside her. She had sought courage, was yearning for it. But the shadows had a way of wearing anyone down to mere strands of regret. What if you're just lost? What if I can't save you? What if I just become another voice in your chorus? Then we will consume you. One shadow murmured, a sinister glee tangled in its tone. No, her voice rang out, a battle cry vibrating through the darkness. I won't let that happen. Just then, a suffocating silence settled like a fog, smothering the shrieks and the pleading. The figure stepped closer, its gaze penetrating, sharp enough to slice through the void. You stand on the brink, Sarah. Be warned. The truth won't weaken the shadows. It will strengthen you if you embrace it. We are bound, you and I. Gritting her teeth, she felt her body quiver, perpetually hovering between two worlds. I want to know. I do, but then break the chains, it urged, its voice like a soothing balm against the unrelenting squall. Let loose the ghosts that dwell within. Show them the light. The shadows screamed again, a feral cacophony that threatened to drown her sanity. This time, though, it felt different. Dread collided with determination, and the sound morphed from malevolence to an almost pleading chime. They needed her. They wanted her. Sarah inhaled sharply, and with every ounce of her being, she pushed through the swirling darkness. I will not cower any longer. The dark, fluid mass surged, writhing as if alive, convulsing around her in unnerving spirals. Instinctively, she closed her eyes, summoning the change, the release they all so desperately craved. Her heart raced, blood pounding fiercely as she cried out, I remember. In that instant, shadows recoiled, as if shocked by the brilliance of her resolve. And then, an explosion of light erupted, forcing all darkness to splinter and scatter. But what awaited her on the other side? A figure distinct yet familiar loomed just beyond her vision, wearing the expression of slowly dawning realization. Sarah, it whispered, rooted in horror. Realization tangled with confusion. What had she just unleashed? What door had she opened, further entwining her fate with theirs? She took a faltering step forward. Shadows skittered away, but a new sadness washed over her, igniting uncharted fears. What now? The answer loomed just beyond her reach, and in that moment of uncertainty, the ground beneath shifted. Who had she truly freed? And at what cost? Behind her, the shadows were murmuring again. Only this time, their tone was darker, drenched in sinister delight. What awaited as their laughter echoed through the remnants of her fractured sanity? The answers hung, suspended in taunting silence, heavy with dread. Light danced tantalizingly in the air, swirling around Sarah like a warm embrace, but the warmth felt like a cruel joke. Her heart still raced, each beat echoing against the realization that she had cracked open something dark, something terrible. The figure loomed closer, and as she finally caught a glimpse of its features, the familiarity sent a shiver down her spine. Emily, her whisper barely escaped her lips. The child stood before her, no longer engulfed in shadow but dressed in the same tattered clothes Sarah remembered from years ago. Oh, how innocence was replaced with a shadow of sorrow. Emily's eyes held a hollow depths, reflecting something ancient and profound. You shouldn't have done that, she said, her voice brittle, a whisper wrapped in ice. What happened? Panic surged through Sarah. I thought I could help you. Emily stepped back, her tiny hands trembling. You brought them back, she said, the tremor in her voice betraying the strength she tried to project. Who? The shadows? The others? Each question felt like a stone thrown into a still pond, rippling fear across the air. They're awake now. They can't be put to rest. The sorrow in her voice thickened the tension, turning tangible like a choking mist. A low rumble echoed from behind Sarah, deep and ominous. The chilling realization struck her then. The shadows were no longer contained. They clawed at the edges of her mind, whispering of lost years, forgotten laughter, and promises broken. I didn't mean to, she stammered, her resolve beginning to wane. Emily's gaze flickered, darting toward the darkened treetops surrounding the playground. They'll come for you, Sarah. And for me, they'll take what you love and twist it into fear. Fear? It clung to her like a shroud. But I wanted to bring the truth. Emily interrupted, frustration crackling beneath her fragile voice. But truths are like knives, Sarah. Sometimes they cut without mercy. As if on cue, the shadows coalesced, swirling at the edges of the playground in hungry anticipation. We are hungry, they called, their voices no longer just whispers, but a roar filled with rage and despair. Join us. Release us. No. Sarah cried, terror slicing her thoughts apart. I won't let you. But her voice trembled, uncertainty leaking through her defiance. Suddenly, the ground beneath her feet tremored, a malevolent pulse echoing through the soil. Emily gasped, her expression shifting from fear to something more akin to panic. We have to go, before it's too late. Instinctively, Sarah reached for the little girl's hand. But Emily flinched away, her face pale. No, if you touch me, the shadows will drag you down. You must remember. Images flooded Sarah's mind, fleeting moments, as if during a fever dream. The playground filled with laughter, the children who had laughed so easily, their faces clear, only to dissolve into pitch-black horror. The scenes burned, seared into memory. Joy turning to screams, the ground swallowing them whole while she stood paralyzed. Help them, Sarah, or they will consume you. Emily's plea cut through the noise, wrapping around her heart, igniting a sense of urgency. I can't. I don't know how. The plea felt like a drowning gasp in a flood of darkness. You know more than you think. Emily insisted as shadows loomed ever closer, inching ahead like a predator stalking its prey. In that instant, Sarah felt a flicker of anger sparking deep within. Not fear, not despair, but something more potent. Courage, raw and unfiltered. I won't let you take them, she growled, her voice confident and resilient. Then act. Speak the truth, Emily urged, her eyes wide with hope. The shadows shrieked, a bone-chilling crescendo that engulfed the air. Sarah's chest tightened. Could she face the truth? Could she let her voice carry the weight of those spirits? Okay, she shouted, steadiness igniting within her. I remember. I will help you, but you have to promise to help me back. Show me the way. The shadows paused, their murmurs halting, almost as if considering her bold proclamation. Is it too late? She thought, fear creeping back, intertwining with fresh determination. Then, a single echo emerged from the darkness. Only you can decide. Her heart thudded, and the weight of choice bore down on her. She had stepped into a world consumed by shadows, and now had to navigate the terrors, with each whisper pulling her to unseen depths. Will her choice save them, or doom them all? In that moment, the darkness split with a low growl, revealing a path into the haunted unknown. The answer beckoned her forward, eager to ensnare her in its grasp. But was this the path of salvation, or another trap? The shadows danced at the fringes, their laughter swirling, waiting to see what she would do next. The path unfolded like an invitation or a warning. Sarah's breath hitched as she took a tentative step forward, the darkness engulfing her. It felt alive, pulsing with an energy that vibrated through her bones, urging her onward. She looked back at Emily, whose expression shifted from terror to unwilling acceptance. Stay close. Don't let go of my hand, Sarah shouted, but the words felt hollow in the darkness. The night air soured, carrying the scent of decay. Emily merely shook her head, keeping a safe distance. Remember, Sarah, don't let the shadows touch you, she whispered, her voice trembling. They'll feast on your fear. The ground throbbed beneath them, sending waves of discomfort surging through Sarah. She felt the malevolence, the weight of lives lost, laughter stolen. The shadows whispered promises, seductive and sinister, swirling into her ears. Join us, we are the lost, come home, no. She snapped, forcing her thoughts into focus. Emily's plea echoed in her mind, reminding her of the need to find the truth. She needed to confront the memories that had bound her to this place. It was now or never. The path forked unexpectedly, a gaping maw of darkness stretching out in two directions. To the left, she saw faint flickers of light, barely illuminating the silhouettes of what appeared to be children. Laughter, distant and disembodied, beckoned with an eerie allure. To the right, a cold silence. Not even the shadows dared to whisper. Her heart raced, torn between the ethereal pull of the light and the unnerving quiet. What do I do? She breathed, wishing Emily would guide her. Emily remained frozen, her wide eyes scanning the gloom as if sensing something Sarah could not. Light lies, she warned. Don't trust it. Move toward the silence, Sarah. Are you sure? The laughter lured her closer. What if they're trapped? They need help. Help? They'll lead you to your doom. Emily shivered, stepping back into the murky edges of the shadows. Trust me. The silence holds the truth. Swallowing her doubts, Sarah steeled herself. Okay, I'll trust you. She turned from the flickering lights, forcing her feet to collide with the eerie quietness. Each step felt heavier, as if the earth itself sought to pull her down. Then, she heard it, a soft sobbing, barely audible but undeniable. Sarah's heart clenched. Who's there? She called, desperation lacing her voice. Help us please. The cry was a whisper, echoing from a darkened corner ahead. We're scared. Without thinking, Sarah rushed toward the sound, feeling a mixture of determination and dread. Emily's warning lingered in the back of her mind, yet she couldn't ignore the plea. It felt so familiar, so real that as she neared, the shadows trembled and twisted, forming grotesque shapes against the ground. The sobbing intensified, morphing into a cacophony of cries and pleas. Her stomach churned as figures emerged from the darkness, children trapped in a miasma of despair, their eyes wide with terror, reflecting nothing but lost hope. Sarah. Emily screamed, a raw urgency in her voice. Get away. They're not what they seem. It was too late. With a chilling rush, the figures surged forward, their faces shifting and warping, mouths curling into grotesque smiles that sent daggers of panic through her. They reached out as if claiming her, desperate to pull her into their wretched souls. Help us, help us. They beckoned, their voices now a chaotic chorus of despair. Sarah's heart hammered wildly in her chest. The laughter faded, replaced with a gnawing sense of betrayal. Were these the children she had come to save, or the shadows of her own fear taking form? The darkness closed in tighter, the cries becoming a haunting melody. No, I won't let you take me. She spun away, eyes darting in search of Emily, but she was swallowed up in a veil of shadows, her small figure dimming under the weight of despair. Sarah. Emily's voice was a distant echo, but the shadows surged, growing ever bolder. The cries turned into a deafening roar, the darkness pressing in around her. Panic flared, and Sarah realized she was backed into a corner with nowhere to run. Face it, she screamed, bursting with desperation. I will find the truth. And just like that, silence fell, a chilling hush that smothered the chaos, surrendering to an eerie stillness. But it was a quiet too loud for comfort. Sarah could feel it. Something was watching, waiting. Emily, she shouted, casting her gaze into the depths. Help me find you. Show me the way. But the silence consumed her every word, revealing only shadows that seemed to inch closer, slithering through the air as if their feast were only beginning. Is this how it ends? The shadows stirred, pacing, their hunger palpable. An answer hovered just in reach, as a low growl rumbled from within the darkness, rolling towards her like an insatiable wave. Only you can decide, they whispered, and her world pitched into chaos once more. What truth would she uncover, and would she dare to face it? The shadows writhed around Sarah, twisting and contorting like restless spirits desperate to escape. They danced closer, cold tendrils curling around her legs, pulling her down to their depths. She felt their emptiness gnawing at her soul, demanding a sacrifice, an offering for their release. Remember, Emily's voice pierced through the whispering onslaught. You must. It's the key. With every ounce of fear and fury battling in her chest, Sarah steadied herself. The darkness roared around her, wanting nothing more than to consume her, but a spark ignited within. If she was to save these lost souls, even if it meant facing her darkest fears, she had to confront the truth. She shut her eyes tightly, trying to block out the chaos, yet the memories surged forward. Flickers of laughter, screams, the weight of loss, and the pang of forgotten joy flooded her senses. Taking a deep breath, Sarah screamed into the void, "Be silent. I refuse to be scared of you." A wave of light radiated from her heart, illuminating the shadows briefly. They recoiled, shrieking with rage, but it only fueled her resolve. "I remember you. I remember all of you," she cried out, her voice trembling but firm. "You had lives, families. You're not just shadows. You are mist." The shadows hesitated, their cacophony of whispers faltering. "Remember," Emily echoed, her tiny form emerging from the gloom, drawing closer in the flickering light. "Help them find peace." "Peace," the shadows murmured, hesitant, swirling with uncertainty. What had they become? What had happened to their innocence? The memories surged through Sarah again, their laughter, their games, how it splashed against her skin like the warm summer sun. They were children, once so full of hope and life. As the warmth spread through her veins, she saw their faces, the names etched in stone, and she spoke them out loud. They deserved to be remembered. "I remember you, Emily. I remember all of you." She stood strong, the light from her heart expanding, shimmering like a star breaking through the dark. "And I promise you, I won't forget again." In that moment, the shadows hesitated, caught between yearning and despair. The darkness swirled violently, trying to reclaim its hold, but Sarah would not back down. "Remember your joy," she urged. "Remember what you loved. Let it go." The shadows trembled as if brushed by a healing wind. For the first time they hesitated. A flicker of light danced through the darkness, weaving through their forms like golden threads, drawing them outward. And then, the names she shouted transformed into a chorus of laughter, echoing through the trees, melding with the wind. The shadows faded and twisted, shifting unease into a vibrant spectrum of memories, ripping through the void as if the very fabric of desolation was being woven anew. They began to lighten, their forms blurring, each name released from the sorrow like a glimmering feather set free. "Thank you," they whispered as they twirled around her, their faces illuminated in ethereal brilliance. "Thank you," Sarah gasped, feeling an overwhelming sense of release as the shadows flickered and vanished into wisps of light, swirling into the horizon like fireflies escaping into the night. And as they departed, she sensed a deep sigh of relief enveloping the very ground beneath her feet, a pulse of gratitude reverberating through the forest. "Emily?" she called, her heart pounding in the aftermath, searching for her little friend in the bloom of newfound light. "Where are you?" The dark lifted as Emily stepped forward, her form now vibrant and clear, her smile bright like a sun-breaking dawn. "You did it. You brought me back." Her joy poured through the night. The air shifted, fragrant with the essence of blooming flowers and laughter. "But what will happen now?" Sarah asked, fear creeping in. "Now?" Emily looked back to the fading shadows, her expression resolute. "They are free. Their pain was like a heavy fog, and now they can be remembered. Thank you for believing in them, for believing in us." Tears of relief coursed down Sarah's cheeks as the weight of the night melted away. The forest, once grim and oppressive, now glimmered with new life. The swings creaked gently, the laughter of children echoing softly in the distance, a soothing melody washing over Ridgewood. "I'll always remember you, Emily. All of you," Sarah promised, feeling warmth wrap around her heart. "You'll never fade away." And as dawn's light broke upon the horizon, washing over Ridgewood in golden hues, she felt the lingering shadows drift away, merging with the light. A palpable peace filled the air, and for the first time, the town felt safe, as though the darkness had finally loosened its suffocating grip, with Emily by her side, hand in hand beneath the blooming trees. Sarah knew they had unveiled not just mysteries but a bond that would last beyond the shadows. Together, they stepped forward, ready to reclaim a future forged from the memories of those lost, promising never to forget. It was time to move on. Now, if you're reading this, don't miss out on what's coming next. You need to subscribe now and hit that bell, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that are waiting for you. Smash that like button now to help the algorithm show more amazing content. I want to hear your thoughts, so flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. And please, don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us spread the word and remind everyone of the power of hope and remembrance.